There's a narrow window between your last paycheck and your first Social Security check. Miss it, and you could pay tens of thousands more in taxes over your lifetime. Use it right, and you could legally cut the IRS out of a huge portion of your retirement savings. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how. I'm Josh, a CFP and partner at an award-winning retirement firm. I've helped over 500 clients navigate the world of Roth conversions, and I can tell you this is one of the most misunderstood strategies in retirement planning. But when done right, it's also one of the most powerful. Most people think their $1 million IRA means they're set for life. What they don't realize here is that in most cases, when we're talking about numbers of this size, 25% or more of that money is not theirs. It belongs to the IRS. Every dollar in a traditional IRA or 401k is shared money. But there's a way to take back control, and it's called a Roth conversion. At its core, a Roth conversion is simple. You move money from a pre-tax account, like a traditional IRA or 401k, into a Roth IRA. When you do this, you're creating taxable income today. But here's what you get in return. Every dollar you convert grows tax-free from that point forward. And when you take it out in retirement, zero taxes. No required minimum distributions, which are those forced withdrawals at age 73 or 75. Think of it like this. Imagine you're renting an apartment, and every year the landlord raises your rent. That's a traditional IRA, and the IRS is your landlord. Now, imagine you could buy that apartment outright. You pay a big chunk up front, but after that, no more rent ever. That's a Roth conversion. But timing here is everything. The absolute best time to do Roth conversions, that narrow window after you retire, but before Social Security and required minimum distributions kick in. Let me tell you about Ken and Maria. Ken is 63, Maria is 61. They're retiring next summer. When they first came to see me, they were terrified because they had $2.5 million in traditional IRAs and 401ks, and they were just thinking about how much of that is going to result in a massive check to the IRS when they're 75. Now, they're right to be worried. If they did nothing, their required distributions would start at age 75 and would likely be over $100,000. Add that to Social Security, they're now being pushed into the 24% federal tax bracket. And that RMD, it's going to trigger Medicare IRMAA surcharges 2 years later. We're talking thousands more per year in Medicare premiums. Then Maria asked a question that changed things even further. What happens if one of us dies early? And she was exactly right to think about this. When one spouse passes, the other spouse has to file as single. Likely the same amount of income, but now filling up the single tax brackets, which are close to half the width of married brackets. That's what a lot of people will call the widow's penalty. So here's where that golden window can come in. Ken and Maria, again, they're retiring next summer. For the first time in decades, they'll have low income years. No more W-2s, Social Security's not starting yet, and no RMDs. This is their chance. We ran the numbers, and over the next 4 years, we can convert roughly $100,000 per year and stay in the 22% tax bracket. That's $400K moved from pre-tax to Roth. $400K at 22%, that means they'll pay about $88,000 in federal taxes over those 4 years. But if they just wait and let those RMDs happen naturally, they'll pay 24% to 32% on that same money, plus IRMAA surcharges, plus investment growth. So we're talking $140,000 or more over their lifetime. By acting now, they're saving over $50K in taxes. Here's something most people don't know. Medicare premiums aren't flat. If your income is too high, you pay surcharges called IRMAA. For 2025, if your modified adjusted gross income as a married couple exceeds $212,000, your premiums jump, and that's a cliff. $1 over, and you're paying a combined thousands in extra dollars per year. Now, here's the tricky part. IRMAA looks at your income from 2 years ago. So if you do a big Roth conversion in 2025, you won't feel that IRMAA pain until 2027. Most people, they're not connecting those dots. They convert too much and get blindsided 2 years later. When we map out conversions, we're modeling MAGI, or that modified income, every single year. We know exactly how much to convert without crossing an IRMAA threshold. Some years, 110,000, other years, 95,000. It's not always about maximizing the conversion. It's about maximizing the after-tax, after IRMAA value. And here's a critical rule. You cannot convert your required minimum distribution. Once you hit your RMD age, you have to take that distribution first. You can technically convert additional amounts, but this is why conversions are most valuable before RMDs begin. Ken and Maria's 4 years of conversions can cut their future RMDs. I've seen RMDs drop by as much as 50% with just a handful of Roth conversions. Instead of $90K, they're allowing themselves the opportunity to reduce that figure dramatically. Lower taxes, lower IRMAA, and of course, more control. So how do you figure out how much to convert? First, map your income for this year and for the next 2 years. Salary, bonuses, dividends, and Social Security, even when RMDs hit. Next, pick a bracket ceiling. For most retirees, that's either the top of the 12% or 22% bracket, but it can be higher. For 2025, the 22% bracket for married couples topped out around $207,000 of taxable income. If you're someone who likes to know these exact tax bracket thresholds, the link in the first comment has my free 2025 Ultimate Retirement Guide. Now, if your current taxable income is $80,000, you have around $126,000 of available space before that next bracket. That's maybe your conversion opportunity, but make sure you run an IRMAA check. If converting that 110K pushes you over a cliff, dial it back. And of course, here's something critical. Try to pay the taxes from cash or a taxable brokerage account. Because if you pay from your IRA, that withholding counts as a distribution, and it's either going to increase your income or reduce the amount of your conversion. Now let's look at 3 critical mistakes. Mistake number 1 is converting too much in 1 year. Cramming 300K into 1 year, it's going to push you into the top tax brackets and of course trigger IRMAA. Slow and steady might win here. Mistake number 2, ignoring IRMAA altogether. $1 over these thresholds can cost you thousands. Always try to model your MAGI 2 years out. Mistake number 3, waiting too long. I meet with people who say, I'll start next year. Then next year comes and they say the same thing. Before they know it, they're 73, RMDs are starting, and the window's gone. Maybe you're okay with that, but if you want to take advantage of your tax bill, don't wait. Let's talk about what most people miss here. Your IRA balance, it's not entirely yours. $1 million in a traditional IRA, and you're going to be in the 24% bracket, that's really only $760,000 of your money, and the remainder belongs to the IRS. The smartest retirees, they focus on their true after-tax wealth. A Roth conversion, yes, it means paying taxes up front, so your portfolio looks smaller on paper. But that money is all yours, at least the Roth chunk is. The IRS doesn't get another dime. You've reduced the shared bucket and increased the what I actually own bucket. This is the mental shift that changes everything. So stop measuring just by your pre-tax balance. Start measuring by what's actually yours. Ken understood this immediately. He said, so we're not really shrinking our wealth. We're just deciding when to pay the IRS. And so we'd rather do it now when we can take control of that. And that's exactly the point here. Now, one step further, this stuff is timely in 2025 because the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was recently made permanent. I view this more as extended because governments change and tax laws that feel permanent today, it's very possible they can disappear. Right now, we have some of the lowest tax brackets in decades. If tax laws change, brackets could jump to 25 or 28%, maybe even higher. The smartest retirees, they're not going to wait for that to happen. They're acting now. Your action plan goes like this. Map your income this year and the next 2 years. Pick a bracket ceiling, run your IRMAA check, look at all the other pieces that we talked about today, and then repeat every year until your RMD problem is the right size. This isn't a one and done situation. It's a multi-year plan, but when executed well, once again, it saves tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in lifetime taxes. And it gives you control over your tax bracket, control over Medicare premiums, control over what happens to your surviving spouse. Ken and Maria, they'll convert $400,000 over 4 years. They'll pay some in taxes, but they'll save even more in lifetime taxes and protect Maria if Ken passes early or vice versa. Most importantly, they're sleeping better at night. They've taken control, and you can too. If you're in that golden window, retired, pre-RMD, pre-Social Security, this is your moment. Don't wait until the IRS forces your hand. Your retirement accounts don't have to be shared with the IRS forever. You just have to act while the window is still open. Now, you should be ready to keep building out your tax strategy, so watch this next video, which focuses directly on another tool that helps to reduce your tax bill in retirement. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.